Combat veterans are responsible for 21% of all domestic violence cases in the United States. Our next guests are here to provide some awareness on the issue. Please welcome retired Navy veteran Derek Barksdale and his special guest, Dr. Ramona Probasco.
Welcome to the show. What's up?
Happy to be here.
Back, LT.
All right.
Dr. Ramona, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This is, LT, I gotta, you wanted to bring Dr. Ramona on today. I gotta let you tell us why. It's a big deal.
Well, I've known Dr. Ramona and her husband Tim for about 1.5 years now, and we belong to a forum together, and it's a Christian-based forum, and we kind of learn a little bit more about each other as time moves along, and found out that Dr. Ramona here not only is a doctor, but she's she specializes within psychology and is a marriage family therapist, and actually has some really good information on domestic violence. And now with the holiday season coming up, with the holiday period just basically being known as the period where most domestic violence is prone, felt that this would probably be the right time to bring it out and hopefully get some people the help that they need and some awareness, more importantly.
Yeah, share the resources that are available. Dr. Ramona, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, do you specialize working with the military community?
I don't necessarily specialize working with the military community, but I am a Tri-West provider.
Okay.
So I work with people from all sorts of backgrounds. I've been in private practice for almost 18 years, working with individuals, couples, and families. But domestic violence is a particular topic that's near and dear to me, so that's why I was so excited that Derek invited me to the program today. So
do you think, since you have experience in both arenas, do you think domestic violence is something that is more prevalent in the military community versus the civilian community? Great question.
Well, first of all, domestic violence is a serious issue in all communities. But I would say most definitely, and statistically, research demonstrates that domestic violence is worse in the military community. As a matter of fact, combat veterans are responsible for 21% of domestic violence in the United States.
Wow.
So I don't know if you knew that, but
no,
yeah,
it's
very high.
Is there any kind of reasoning behind that, or is there, what makes it different?
Right. Well, my opinion and my experience in working with military is that they have unique stressors that the civilian community does not have. For instance, exposure to war, which can lead to, as we know, post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, or both. And if they're not exposed to war, there's just what goes with being in the military, and that is frequent moving. So you have relocation, you're not surrounded by family and friends that you know. Just the pressures of the long hours, and so it's definitely, there are stressors in the military that civilians do not have. Plus, if domestic violence is reported, then there is the anxiety associated that, well, will I lose my job? If my commanding officer, how is he or she going to respond to this? And if I lose my job, then I lose my housing and my retirement and my medical benefits. So there's a lot involved as far as with the military that the civilian community may not necessarily have those type of stressors.
Okay, so it's because of their commitments.
Right.
To the things that they have, sworn to do, an oath to do, they have this greater stress, whereas a civilian could say, "Oh, not that job. I'll get another job." Or,
right.
Whatever. So they don't have that freedom,
right.
so to speak.
Yeah, and
that's
often,
constrictive.
exactly, and often there can be just one person working in the family, and in the case, it may not always be the wife staying at home, but let's just say it is the dependent that's staying at home. So there's reliance on just one income, and so if there's a disclosure of domestic violence, that runs the risk of losing that income, which of course is scary for anyone.
Okay, so that's why the spouse may not want to report.
They may not want to report, and also if you are married to a wounded veteran, there's going to be pressure that, do I want to cause further disturbance when this person is disabled or has some sort of wound resulting from war? I mean, that there's going to be complexity involved with that that's, again, unique to someone in the military.
So it's true then that this time of year, the holiday season, is where this domestic violence tends to spike?
To peak, yeah. Yes. That's in both civilian and military, but again, you have military that may in all likelihood not be around family and not have that type of family support during the holidays. So the holidays are difficult for both military and civilian, but definitely more stress on the military.
As you know, my previous job, actually in the military, I was a force protection officer overseeing law enforcement and public safety functions. And then when I got out, I became a GS, government service employee, where I was the police chief. And so there was periods where we specifically made sure that information was available to our military service members and their families. And it was typically related to the holiday season and then also post-deployment and pre-deployment, because those are the times when stressors are high. And I love how you mentioned during the time of that relocation period too, and we definitely have to talk about that, because those are very stressful moments that the typical civilian doesn't get put into, and where you mentioned that the spouse or that dependent may not want to go forward because they're in it together. They feel like, hey, we're going through this together, and they feel and they know what those stressors are bringing. So sometimes they may feel like, oh, well, he's just going through some things, or she's just going through some things, and may not report it. So ironically enough, it is a problem, and it, one is a problem, but there are 21%. I didn't even know that. That's huge there, and we got to get ahead of this. And there's some ways, and I'm thankful for Dr. Ramona here.
Yeah.
What she does.
And this is how we do it. We have programs like this, which I so appreciate you all inviting me, because we have to get the word out and get this information out so people who are already feeling perhaps isolated know how to connect and get the support that they need.
Let's talk about that. Let's go right into that, because what do you do?
Right.
I mean, what's like step one, and is there an escalation in that, or do you immediately, right away go to the full bore?
Well, my advice always is safety trumps. So if a person is in imminent danger, I advise to call 911 immediately. Don't even waste any time with that. If imminent danger is not present, say for instance, and I don't want to sound stereotypical here, but I'm just for sake of example, that the abuse perpetrator is the active military, and he or she is on deployment. Well, of course, so now you have, you don't have the issue of them being home. So I would encourage a person to reach out, and I will provide at the end of the show different domestic violence support organizations, and get in contact with a domestic violence counselor. Not all counselors are equal, okay? Like I was telling you guys before the show, I'm a certified domestic violence counselor, I'm a marriage and family therapist. I wouldn't try to fix your vehicles because it's not what I've been trained to do. Likewise with counselors, you want to work with someone who understands domestic violence. If they encourage couples counseling, that is #1 red flag. It is dangerous to do couples counseling when abuse is present. So, or if they imply in some way that the victim is to blame, like they have provoked the violence or what have you, run for the hills. That's not the person you want to work with.
Gotcha. So you do have a choice then. I mean, when it comes down to it.
You want to ask those questions. Are you trained? And if you're not, that's okay. To keep looking for someone who is.
Okay. But then, so, counseling should be one-on-one in these situations. Definitely should not be
couples.
as a couple.
Exactly.
Okay. Right.
And there's wonderful support groups out there as well. So depending on what the person, I believe the perfect cocktail is to be working, and this is how I do it with my clients, one-on-one in an individual situation, and then also in a support group where they can be with other people who are going through a similar challenges. Not everyone's comfortable with that, so definitely get with a one-on-one counselor that understands the nature of this issue.
Dr. Ramona, we're running out of time, but I have one question I have to ask.
Yes.
Because I feel like it's one of those things, should people be looking at this issue as a zero tolerance issue? I mean, is this something where, one and done? Like, I cannot put up with this at all. So if I'm a victim of this, I have to make a plan to move on as soon as something like this happens, or should people have some cushion for forgiveness in these situations?
Well, that's a great question. I wish we had a couple hours to talk about that. Okay, to answer your first question, yes, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance for abuse. There's no excuse for abuse, and no one should have to live in an abusive situation. However, do I believe that people can change? Well, certainly. I mean, I believe that. However, do most? No. And that's not just me saying it. That's what the research demonstrates. There's too much at stake, okay, And so typically what I have seen and what the research supports is that abusers don't change.
Okay.
That's a sad reality.
There's the truth for you right there.
Right.
So the resources, check them out. We put them up on the screen throughout. They'll also be in the link below in the description. Also right here in this post if you're watching on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for coming today.
Thank you for
Fantastic
having
to
me.
have
Thank you.
Bring up this very,
I
very
really
important
appreciate
issue. And stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.